The Patriots are now 9-4 after beating the Buffalo Bills in a game. We've never seen a game like this, Evan. I don't know if we'll see another game like this. I mean, we've had snow games. We've had, freezing cold games. There's been elements games before. Never seen a game like this where the Patriots went out and ran the ball 46 times. I think it was 46, and threw it 3 times. And that's what happened tonight in a game that I'm sure if you're a fan, you're sitting at home screaming, throw the ball. Why won't he throw the ball? And they didn't, and it worked. And the Patriots squeak out a win, 14-10, a great win, 9-4, driver's seat in the AFC. And I'll let you kind of get into everything you saw. And just for everybody wondering, Evan is in Buffalo right now. He just got out of the locker room. Bill Belichick had his little black jacket on. He was smiling. You know, this was one of Bill's greatest days. This is another notch on his belt, okay? And this goes down already, all of the chatter and the talk shows. Bill, what did Bill do? Bill won a game by only throwing it 3 times. It's another piece of his legacy. So Bill's probably the happiest guy on the planet. But again, he did what was needed to win this game. And we've seen it. We've seen them be maddeningly conservative a lot of times this year, and it's cost them games. And it felt like it could have cost them a game this time, but it didn't. And they win, and great win.
Yeah, I don't think you can take anything away from a few angles to this win. First and foremost, Bill Belichick will play you any way that is necessary to win a football game. If that means throwing the football 3 times, which some of the players up at the podium talking about how they've never, not even in Pee Wee football, David Andrews said when he was 6 years old, did they play a game where they only threw the ball 3 times. So we're talking about something that is totally unorthodox, outside the box, contrarian. If another coach does this, and not somebody with the job security and the resume of Bill
right.
Belichick, then everybody their minds are completely going off the rails, especially if you lose. And I think a lot of other coaching staffs and a lot of other coaches that aren't Bill Belichick, they lose a game like that, and they could get fired, right? Their jobs are on the line. Bill has the job security to be able to go out there and potentially lose a game where you only throw the ball 3 times, because he knows that it's probably the best way for them to win. So you have to tip your cap off to the patience, to the strategizing, the chess match with the wind, and being able to handle the situation. The second thing I'll say, just from the players' side, this is a gritty football team. Right? This is a football team that's built to win in December and January. Buffalo is a pass-first offense with a defense that's finesse, that's lighter in personnel, that has 230-pound linebackers that everybody wants the Patriots to draft. And the Patriots came in here and they physically imposed their will and ran the football down Buffalo's throats. Even when the Bills were putting 10 guys in the box, they were running the ball down Buffalo's throats. So the Pats are a gritty bunch. They're a physical bunch. They're a very, very good defensive bunch. And Bill Belichick still has the balls, quite frankly, to call a game the way that they called it, because all of us in the press box are thinking, oh, here comes the play action, or here comes the one time they throw it, or this drive they're with the wind, they're finally going to spread it out and pass the football. And they never wavered. They had the strategy. Mac Jones pointed to it after the game and said they knew that if they won the turnover margin, they were going to win the football game. Point blank.
I mean, and if N'Keal Harry doesn't actually try to head that ball into the corner of the goal, I mean, it looked like he was trying to hit it with his head. I have no idea what he's doing with his head looking out like that. A very bizarre. That could have been a big story there. The Bills got nothing going, really. So I mean, again, the philosophy was right. Outside of that real gaffe there on that punt return where you had Harry and Olszewski returning the kick and it ticks off his helmet. Bills really didn't generate anything going, getting down the field. And the Patriots played the wind game well, just in terms of what they did. And they had it going, and they had the lead in the fourth quarter with the Bills going into the wind. And you saw how badly they missed that field goal attempt there. So, it was a strategic game. It's just when you play with a margin of error that small, like the Patriots were playing, this is the same thing that happened with the loss in Miami against Miami. you do one thing that you're not supposed to do late in the game, and that could turn the whole game on its head. And luckily, they made more plays than the Bills made to win this game down the stretch for sure. So,
Right.
yeah.
They you don't want to say they got lucky or they got away with one, because I think
No,
that's
they
not
didn't. That's not right.
treating it correctly, right? But with what they did was, again, they can play with this margin for error because they have Bill Belichick as their head coach. Maybe a guy like Sean McDermott could have done something similar, but you start talking about some of these other coaches around the league, they're thinking, if I call a game with only 3 pass attempts the entire game and we lose, the owner's calling me to his office the next day and I'm getting canned, right? I mean, that's got to be their mindset to a degree. And they were, with Bill Belichick, they're able to call a game that way and get away with that. And I think ultimately the Patriots knew that situationally they were going to be better in third down, red zone, at the end of the game situations there when the Bills were trying to go in to score to win the football game. They knew that they were going to be better, and they were basically counting on Josh Allen imploding to a degree. Now, I think that they thought they were going to get a game-changing turnover, a pick six or something like that put them in their own territory. They didn't end up getting that big of a play, but they were able to make the stops at the end in the red zone and hold Buffalo to 1 for 4 in the red zone. Besides, the one conversion was after the N'Keal Harry muff
The
punt.
play after it, exactly.
The other 3 trips into the red zone where they actually drove the football in there, they were able to hold them down and hold them to field goals or field goal attempts. So they basically counted on the fact that their defense was going to outsmart, outperform, out execute the Bills offense and Josh Allen in those very critical types of plays.
Yeah. I liken this a lot. I mean, again, if the Bills had stopped the run more effectively, the Patriots may have been forced to do things differently. But even in drives where the Patriots went nowhere, they went right back to it the next time too. They never wavered from their game plan. As you mentioned, it takes balls to do this. There's a lot of coaches who might have come out with the philosophy, we're going to run a lot tonight, and then maybe run 60% of the time or 65% of the time. It really, really, really takes some serious commitment to do it nonstop. And I hear you got announcements back there, Evan. You're muting yourself.
I don't know. They're kicking somebody off the field. I have no idea what's going on. I think there might be some trespassers on the field right now. The people in Buffalo, look, it's the press box here is in a great spot because you're right on top of the stands, right? The stand, you're right in the stands. The only thing that separates you from watching this game, like the Buffalo fans in the stands, is a pane of glass, right?
They're right there. They're right there.
Yeah. And when the 4th down play happened and Josh Allen's pass fell incomplete and Miles Bryant batted it down to the ground, the look on the fans' faces, the utter just frustration and disdain that did we really just lose a football game where they threw the ball 3 times the entire game?
And that's
how
the
did
thing.
That happen?
It's such an own, and you talk about, if you read, I love, one of my favorite things doing, I've done this my whole media life. I love reading out of town papers. I love seeing what they're saying over there.
Oh, they're in panic mode.
Yeah. All week long with this game. God damn it. We had 1 year. There was 1 year that they let us have. And now they're here and people are saying they're going to win and they're going to win the division. And what happened? We didn't even get to enjoy it for a year, and that's it. And it was total panic. And you could see every cutaway in the stands and this and that, just kind of oh, please, let's not lose this game, But going back to it, the commitment there to the run was incredible. Even when it wasn't working, it's no, we're going to do it again. And at times where you're as you said, well, this will certainly call for a pass or a play action, or it's 3rd and 4. And really, what are they going to do here? Just, run again and punt. And it was yep, they're going to run again and punt. That was, it's, call it stubborn, call it brilliant, call it whatever. They were not moving off of that. I liken it to a good analogy is just, you're a pitcher with a good fastball and you just keep throwing it until they hit it and they make you throw something else. And the Patriots just kept throwing fastballs and that was it. And wears you down, 220, plus yards. Great running by Stevenson. I thought making a lot out of a little on a lot of plays there for him. Obviously, Harris with that big score there when they're putting 10 guys in the box. You've only got one safety there. He gets through that line and he's gone. Honestly, I thought they were going to pop another one too, because it really looked like they were softening up the Bills D. As you said, I felt like either that Allen pick was coming or they were going to pop another one, because they were really, really, really pounding the ball there and finding space. And I thought they were going to get into the secondary with one more and maybe break free, with that. So all in all, good. Harris obviously went out with the hamstring, but they've got a bye now. So
he didn't end up talking. They cycled through a bunch of people really quickly, but he was in the interview room after the game, huge smile on his face, joking around with Ramondre Stevenson and Brandon Bolden. It looked like if he had a serious injury, he would not have been in there. Let me put it to you that way. So I think that he is good. But, you look at the one thing, other than the defense, I do want to get to the defense here in what they did schematically against Josh Allen. The one thing that you can take away, I think, from this game from a Patriots offense standpoint was some of the schemes that they were able to run in terms of the run game against this Bills defense. The Bills defense, I think one of the things that really causes them to struggle against the Patriots in the run game a lot of the times is that they are a 4-3 over G front. They run the same front every single week on first and second down, and they play their system and they play their hand, and you have to go out there and out execute and beat them. So early on in this game, the Patriots they had a lot of inside runs go absolutely nowhere, right? They were running into the teeth of defense. Then finally that Nelson Aguilar end around, although it wasn't an explosive play. I think it gained 8 or 9 yards or something like that. It wasn't a huge run. I can pull it up here. It only gained 6 yards, but that one threat of them actually running it on the outside like that really started to open up the entire box. And then they hit the toss right to Damian Harris. You get a great crack block from N'Keal Harry. You get Isaiah Wynn out on the pull. Jakob Johnson hits the force, and then you get the big run to Damian Harris. Once they ran the crack toss play, they started to use some different schemes inside, stuff like trap schemes or G lead plays in that later drive in the second half. And if you look at the things you're going to see on tape about this Patriots run game, that will certainly carry over to when the Patriots play the Bills in week 16 up in Foxborough. Being able to run those schemes again, I think will be successful for them again in a lot of ways. And look, at the core of it, and I know it drives the analytics people absolutely insane. They don't want to run the football. They don't care about running the football. The football is running the football is negligent or whatever you want to call it. It's less than zero. But when you talk about going out there and physically imposing your will on an opponent and running it right down their throats for 4 straight quarters and then upsetting them on their home field, that other locker room down there just now, that was a demoralized, defeated locker room, right?
Really?
Like where did these guys come from? Right, the evil empire. We thought that we blew up the Death Star. Right, we thought it was over. We thought that this was done. They had them on the ropes, right? And now they're back. And not only are they back, but they just came in here and they manhandled us. It wasn't even it wasn't our type of game, right? And I think in one respect, Buffalo will sell themselves on the fact that if we play their type of game, right? If it is a more pass happy, open type of game where the score does get into the high 20s or low 30s, then maybe they can win a football game like that against the Patriots. They can't beat the Patriots like this, right? They're not going to be able to beat the Patriots in the teens. That's going to be something that they're going to talk about as maybe the positive that they can take away is, well, this wasn't really a game, right? This was a once in a flash in the pan type of situation. But at the same time,
I mean,
watching the big brother
come
in here and beat you up one more time is
you're an outdoor team playing in the Northeast in a cold weather city. Like, you got to recognize that playing this brand of football, not one where you're throwing the ball 3 times, that's silly, but playing this brand of football is important in the later stages of the season. And you're playing these guys twice in December. So yes, you're not expecting 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts in the next game, but you are expecting having to play
great conditions.
It's not great conditions. You got to play physical types of games here. It's not ideal. You're not in a dome. You're not in a controlled environment where you can go out and sling it 50 times. And, we've seen other Patriots teams really used this to their advantage in the past in December, Buffalo should be a team that, based just simply on geography, certainly not in the DNA and the style of their play, but based on geography, they should be able to handle this sort of stuff.